Shalom to Rabbi Pinchas Goldschmidt, President of the Conference of European Rabbis.
Shalom to you.
Thank you for coming to our studio here in Jerusalem. We've met a lot throughout the years in the conferences and the gatherings throughout Europe. And today you're marking an important institution, an institute that you're building in Germany. Tell us about that, please.
We're about to moving our headquarters to Germany and have the headquarters of the Conference of European Rabbis. There we're going to organize seminars, conferences for all the rabbis, more than 800 rabbis all over Europe with their wives and also with community leaders. And we think we are at a new beginning and concerning rabbinical work and rabbinical
So leadership, it's not just the work, right? And that's my next question. What really is the role today of rabbis of Europe? It's not just about answering halachic questions. That's a very important part of it. But they're the leaders of the community to some extent.
Right. If we call the Jewish professional, in every community there were Jewish professionals. So you had the presidents of communities, the lay leaders, you had sometimes in bigger communities you had the director, and you had the rabbi. Now, many communities, as they become smaller and smaller, so what you have is there is no institutional memory. The presidents know very little. There is no secular director of a community. And actually the rabbi is the only Jewish professional, which makes his role much more important and crucial for the survival of a Jewish community.
Now, when we're talking about survival, it's about identity. Is it a very, very big, difficult challenge in Europe as well? Assimilation, identity?
We are being challenged by assimilation. However, I think that we're also challenged by fear since the great wave of terrorist attacks against Jewish communities in Western Europe. Many have decided it's too dangerous to come to communal events. However, we know that many European Jews today, they speak Hebrew. They have ties, very strong family ties and cultural ties to Israel. And we think that the Jewish community is crucial. We have challenges. For example, we have tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of Israelis who come and live, study, and work in Europe. Now, many Israelis, especially the secular ones, while they were in Israel, they were not tied into community. Jews in Israel, they're majority, they're not minority. However, if you live outside of Israel, you have to do something actively Jewish in order to remain Jewish. So this is the challenge to involve and to affiliate all those Jews who came from Israel inside the Jewish communities.
Now you're here in the state of Israel, you're here visiting and you're speaking to different dignitaries. Do you demand that Israel does more in this field of fighting anti-Semitism and in generally the connection between Israel and Jewish diaspora in Europe?
Yes, much more can be done, not only in the field of fighting anti-Semitism, but also in the field of education, which is crucial for survival of a Jewish community and increasing Jewish awareness and identity. In terms of assimilation, our fate, not only our faith, but our fate is also tied to what is happening in Israel. If you look at the numbers and the statistics, the moment there's a flare-up in the security situation here in Israel, there are more terrorist attacks and anti-Semitic attacks outside of Israel, especially in Europe, in France, in Belgium. Just now, 2 weeks ago, there was a terrible terrorist attack on Lag BaOmer in the Griba in Tunis. And this happened just during the days with a flare-up with Gaza. So we, for the better and for the worse, our fate is tied to what is happening in Israel, and we would like very much that Israeli leaders should know that and take this into account when decisions are being taken.
It's not you're saying that they should not attack in Gaza, but they should understand the consequences, be in touch, update even.
You're right, that security of the Jewish communities is to a large extent also very much tied to what is happening today in Israel.
And do we see connection? I mean, I understand that you're not allowed to say everything, but are there connections between Israel, the state of Israel, and what goes on in security and the safety of Jewish communities around Europe?
The Israeli government is very much involved in helping Jewish communities to secure their buildings. They're sending advisors to advise the Jewish communities and the Jewish communities to work with the local law enforcement as well as with Israeli advisors.
Are you seeing more and more people who are afraid to walk outside with their kippa, with things that show that they are part of the Jewish people?
There are definitely cities and neighborhoods like Neukölln in Berlin, or certain neighborhoods in Paris where it would be advisable not to walk with a kippah unless you have 5-10 guys walking with you, right? So it is a challenge, especially for children who go to school. And it is one thing to secure community buildings. You can put police and the army with submachine guns in front of community buildings, but you cannot put 5 people with submachine guns next to every Jewish child going on a bicycle to school. So we're talking about not only law enforcement, we're talking about prevention, and here there's a lot of work to be done in the educational system as well in the social media.
You always seem very optimistic. You know, there are some dignitaries who like to focus on the rise in anti-Semitism. What makes you a bit more optimistic than them?
Because we have to look at the reality. Not everything is bad. Let me give you one example. In the last few years, since the Europol was founded by the European nations, when security agencies of the different countries start to work together and exchange information, when the extradition of terrorist suspects became much faster, it used to take a year, today it takes a few days, we see that the security situation of the Jewish community improved. In the last few years, in Europe, thanks to God, Jews were not killed in terrorist attacks. But, unfortunately, in the United States, this is what happened. So, that's one thing. Another sign of new confidence, I was just this year in Paris when they opened 2 new communal centers. You know, they used to talk about France, the last Jew should not forget to put out the lights. Today I see in France, with all the tens of thousands who went on Aliyah to Israel, that's beautiful, but I see a new confidence in the community over there.
And let's end really with that issue, the balance that we've talked about this a lot, the balance between promoting Aliyah, coming home to the land of Israel, and on the other hand, what you are doing very, very successfully, strengthening the communities throughout Europe. Tell us about that balance, if there is a balance, if you need to relate to that balance at all.
We have both moments, Aliyah as well as strengthening the Jewish communities, are crucial for the future, for having Jewish continuity. And our communities are all pro-Aliyah. We're very proud of having a very strong French-speaking community, a very strong Russian-speaking community in Israel. They even say that what is the second official language of Israel?
Hebrew.
Right. Well, the first one is Russian. So, and having said that, there are tens of thousands of Israelis who are moving to Europe, and thousands of students, and it is much more difficult to stay Jewish as a minority, a small minority, than to be Jewish in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. So we have to be there and to make sure that every Jew who wants it can be affiliated, tied to Jewish life, to a Jewish community, to a synagogue, in order to make sure that we remain Jewish.
Okay, Rabbi Pinchas Goldschmidt, President of the Conference of European Rabbis, thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.